I now call the regular City Council and regular successor agency meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are participating remotely, please mute your microphone. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. City Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Yes, Mayor Chair Lopez,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chair Larios,
Here.
Councilmember Merlo, Member Merlo,
Here.
Councilmember and Member Ibarra. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any changes to the agendas?
There are none.
May I have a motion to approve the agendas?
I'll move Larios.
I'll second Merlo.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chair Larios, second by Member Merlo to approve the agenda for the City Council and successor agency. I'll call the roll. Mayor Chair Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chair Larios,
Yes.
Member Merlo,
Yes.
Member Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We will now take public comment for the City Council and successor agency. If you would like to provide public comment, please come to the podium or click the raise hand button on Zoom. Do we have any comments on Zoom?
We have no raised hands on Zoom.
Thank you. We will now recess the City Council meeting to consider the successor agency agenda items. We will now go to the successor agency consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar may be approved with one motion. Items may be removed from the consent calendar by any member. Those items removed will be considered immediately after the consent calendar. Does anyone wish to pull any items from the successor agency consent calendar? Are there any public comments on the consent calendar? Do we have any raised hands on Zoom?
There are none.
Thank you. May I have a motion for consent calendar item numbers 1 and 2?
I'll move Ibarra.
I'll second Merlo.
Motion by Member Ibarra, seconded by Member Merlo to approve the successor agency consent calendar. Chair Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Larios.
Yes.
Member Merlo,
Yes.
Member Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We will now go on to oral reports for the successor agency. Are there any reports from members of the staff?
No oral reports.
Okay. Seeing that there are none, with no further business, I adjourn the successor agency meeting at 9:04 and reconvene the City Council meeting. We will now go on to presentations. Agenda item number 1 is a proclamation honoring Delphia Garza. City Clerk Pope will present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proclamation of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Vernon commending Delphia Garza on her 94th birthday. Whereas Vernon resident Delphia Garza was born on May 25th, 1929, and is celebrating her 94th birthday this year. And whereas the City of Vernon recognizes with respect and admiration the contributions of seniors and proudly acknowledges members of the community as they celebrate milestone birthdays. And whereas Ms. Garza attended Vernon City Elementary School, was raised in the City of Vernon, and has lived in the city the majority of her life. And whereas Ms. Garza is deeply appreciated and regarded by her family, friends, and neighbors as a loving and joyful individual that is a good listener and a great friend. And whereas Delphia Garza dedicated many years of her life to serving the community and made significant contributions to the education of our youth through her work as a school teacher. And whereas Delphia Garza enjoyed fishing and loved spending time outdoors with her late husband Michael Garza Jr., and now enjoys a peaceful retirement at her Vernon home with visits from her family and friends. And whereas it is an honor to celebrate Delphia Garza and wish her a happy 94th birthday on this special milestone occasion. Now therefore, the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Vernon, on behalf of its employees, residents, and businesses, hereby commend Delphia Garza for her long life and prosperity on the occasion of her 94th birthday. This proclamation is being presented to Delphia Garza by the Honorable Mayor Leticia Lopez for and on behalf of the City Council of the City of Vernon this 7th day of February, 2023. We will make sure that Ms. Garza gets this proclamation and wish her happy birthday.
Thank you for that. We will now go on to agenda item number 2 is the City Administrator Report. City Administrator Fandino will you present this item.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. So we'll be going today through the uh, City Administrator Report. We'll be talking about 8 different topics. Topic 1 will be the new business welcome. Number 2 will be the Environmental Protection Agency EPA engagement. Number 3 will be utility upgrades. Number 4 will be potential development projects. Number 5 is gas division leak detection partnership. Number 6 is active shooter preparedness training. Number 7 is general municipal election, and number 8 is community events. Moving on to the next page. So from December through the present, the city has issued 211 certificates of occupancy for businesses, many of whom expanded and relocated their existing operations here in Vernon. Approximately 7 new businesses moved into the city over the last couple of months. This slide represents some of these enterprises. Their operations range from warehousing, distribution, food processing, office use, and check cashing. We're always excited to welcome new businesses to Vernon. Next slide. So the city staff met with EPA, which they visited here in the city on January 26th. So in July of 2022, the state requested the former Exide facility site to be added to the National Priorities List, NPL, of Superfund sites by U.S. Environmental Protection Agencies, known as the EPA. Recently, staff met with the EPA, Regional Administrator Martha Guzman, and other key members of the EPA involved in this process. This briefing was informative as the EPA staff explained the process by which eligibility would be determined. The EPA is working closely with the Department of Toxic Substances Control, known as DTSC, to collect and analyze necessary data. It will be approximately 2 years for the EPA to complete their investigation and analysis. There are already 22 sites that are designated in the National Priority Superfund sites. During the meeting, the EPA urged the city to advocate for additional funding for the cleanup of Superfund sites. According to city staff, we will submit a congressional directed spending request for funds through the Senators Feinstein and Padilla later this year. I look forward to working with the EPA representatives to further mitigation from the Exide facility and surrounding impact areas. Next slide. This month, the Vernon Public Utilities began construction work to place new poles along 49th and 50th Street to support the anticipated energy needs for the upcoming data center at 4701 Santa Fe and other potential data center projects. These new poles will create a path for a 66 kV subtransmission line from the project site to the Vernon substation. The 66 kV lines, which are the highest voltage lines VPU offers, will provide the capacity needed to support large-scale loads and an added level of reliability. Future data centers each have the potential to add up to 50 megawatts of load to the Vernon Public Utilities electrical system. Good progress has been made by the data center developer as well. They have submitted their construction drawings and permit for demolition and abatement, and the goal is to energize this building by the end of the year in 2024. VPU will front approximately $18 million of capital funding to accommodate the need of the data center project. Next slide. In October of 2022, Vernon Public Utilities obtained City Council approval to purchase 2 gas turbine engines to replace a failed engine, the Gonzales Unit 1, at the power plant. The H. Gonzales units play a critical role in providing resource adequacy to the utility. Without them, we would have to make purchases for resource adequacy in the energy market at a costly rate. These units also provide energy when the grid is stressed and the Black Start capabilities to power the City Hall in an emergency. I am pleased to share with you that the work began in November to install HD1 and HD2. A unit was installed last month. Both of the installations were successful. Completing the production output of the engines has provided nearly 6 megawatts of capacity from each unit. 2 engines were purchased for $444,989. At the time the utilities sought the City Council approval, we expected to pay back for these units to be approximately 1 year. We are pleased to share that VPU is on track to meet this milestone. Next slide is some pictures of the actual turbines. Next slide. Senior Public Works staff met with experienced owner, developer, and multifamily properties, a pioneer in developing the Arts District. His niche is converting obsolete warehouse and industrial buildings into market-rate apartments in the area and surrounding areas. He has a strong interest in building a residential unit in Vernon, with the future zoning code allows residential developments. The meeting concluded with the tour of the current project in the city of Los Angeles at 4851 Alameda, located across the street from the city of Vernon. This project is converting an old industrial building into a 120-unit apartment building. And if you look at the pictures, you can see that what he does is in the middle of the building, he utilizes skylights to give lighting features to the actual apartments in itself. So he feels very confident that he can come into Vernon and redo some of the existing warehouses that we have with this type of niche. Next slide, please. Additional senior staff met with this Vernon property owner, business owner that is acquiring additional properties on Santa Fe in anticipation of changes to the zoning code allowing for residential development. This demonstrates the appetite for the development community for changes to the zoning code that will allow existing obsolete industrial and warehouse spaces to be repurposed as mixed-use residential development. Staff is working with the Royal Group on proposed changes in the zoning code to present for the adoption of the City Council in the near future. We anticipate to come to City Council with something in the month of May. So currently there are 20, next slide please. Currently there are 20 projects in the city of various stages of development. As you can see from this map, 3 separate potential mixed-use developments are flagged on Santa Fe. Other types of development in progress include warehouses, cold storage, and a data center. So these are all the new potential sites for new developments. Next slide, please. Southern California Gas regularly conducts aerial leakage surveys and notifies the Vernon Public Utilities Division of any methane plumes detected by the Vernon Public Utilities gas customer facilities. With this new information, the gas department supports customers by identifying and isolating equipment issues, ensuring safety at the work site. In most cases, after a visit from Vernon Public Utilities gas division crews, customers can continue to operate. Staff will attempt simple repairs to minimize downtime and waiting for complex equipment repairs to be completed by a third-party gas technician. The gas division service ensures a safe environment for the public utilities and other Vernon businesses and their employees, and often saves business community time and money. So you'll see something that's eroding right there that needs to be fixed in the gas department, and then they go ahead and fix it. Next slide, please. Active shooter preparedness training. So the Vernon Police Department recently completed 2 days of active shooter preparedness training in the partnership with the Bell Gardens Police Department. The training curriculum combined classroom interaction with elaborate scenario-based training that provided our officers with the tools necessary to respond quickly and confidently to threat posed by an active shooter. The active shooter preparedness training is part of the regional efforts by local law enforcement agencies to better prepare our teams to respond in a unified manner. Additional training dates are planned later this year. Next slide, please. The city's general municipal election will be held Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, to elect one member of the City Council for a 5-year term, submitting Measure W to the voters to extend the public safety partial tax, which I'll talk about next. Election information is available at the city's website for the city clerk. If you're not registered yet to vote, Vernon residents, please do so by March 27th. So ballot Measure W, if approved by the voters, Measure W will extend the duration of the public safety special parcel tax for 5 years. The public safety special parcel tax applies only to non-exempt, non-residential properties. The existing public safety special parcel tax has allowed the city of Vernon to maintain its current police department, public health, and fire protection service levels. Without a continuation of the public safety special parcel tax, the city would not be able to maintain its current level of service. Revenue generated by the Measure W would be used for the city's police services, city health services, and contracted city fire protection services. Measure W requires approval by 2/3 of the voters in April municipal election. A yes vote approves a 5-year extension of the public safety special tax to maintain current public safety services. A no vote would result in the current public safety special partial tax expiring on June 30th, 2023. The impartial analysis and argument in favor of Measure W are available for public on the city's website. So city staff also picked a 5-year term because it believes it would be in alignment with the user utility tax that the city would need to address in 5 years. And so at that time, the city can come up with an overall plan on how it's going to extend the user utility tax and then basically bring in line additional Measure W funds if needed. So at that time, the city can reallocate and refocus on how it's going to proceed in the future. So it's not a perpetuity tax. We're just asking for 5 additional years. The city's holiday tree lighting ceremony has become a staple annual event here at City Hall. The snowy lawn is a great fun for attendees. This year, there were numerous toy giveaways, craft activities, sledding, a photo booth, raffle prizes, and snacks and drinks available for guests. It was a special event for a special time of the year. We are pleased to celebrate the season with the community. We have some photos we'd like to share over the next slides. Next slide, please. So we did add another sledding ramp, which came out pretty good. And then the crafts and free play in the snow. Okay, soccer ball giveaway. In an annual tradition for the Vernon Police Department, officers made a special visit to the elementary school to hand deliver soccer balls to each student. This is another example how Vernon leaders and Vernon Police Department staff connecting with the community. So soccer balls and sunglasses were given away this year. Next slide, please. Vernon's Operation Santa, which was a great success. Event was hosted on December 14th. The city and the partner businesses sponsored Vernon elementary families in need. A drive-through light show and toy giveaway was coordinated with Vernon residents. It was such a wonderful event. It's truly representative of the holiday spirit of giving. And here are some additional photos. So we have some more photos of everybody that participated in Operation Santa, and Santa himself showed up. Next slide, please. So upcoming events, we have the annual Spring Egg Extravaganza, which is March 23rd. And then we'll have a Vernon Job Fair in April of 2023. Now, I am being told that LAEDC is working with the unions for Farmer John to put on a additional job fair at the location. But details have been sketchy right now. We don't know exactly how that's all going to work. But there is plans to try to relocate misplaced workers by the Farmer John shutdown, which is scheduled by the end of this month. Originally, it was scheduled for this week, but it looks like it's going to be extended for a couple more weeks in February. But we are looking at Farmer John shutting down by the end of the month. And this concludes my presentation. I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Is there any questions? No. We will now go on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar may be approved with one motion. Items may be removed from the consent calendar by any member of the council. Those items removed will be considered immediately after the consent calendar. Does council wish to pull any items from the consent calendar? Are there any public comments for the consent calendar or any raised hands on Zoom?
There are none.
Seeing that there are none, may I have a motion for consent calendar item numbers 3 through 10?
I'll move Ibarra.
I'll second Merlot.
Motion by Councilmember Ibarra, seconded by Councilmember Merlot to approve the consent calendar, which includes second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1292, amending Vernon Municipal Code Section 17.24.080, regulating building setbacks. Mayor Lopez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Larios?
Yes.
Councilmember Merlo?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We will now go on to new business. Agenda item number 11 is payment process services. Finance Director Williams will present the item.
Yes, good morning, Honorable Mayor, honorable members of the City Council. This morning, we have for the Council's consideration the request to approve and authorize the continued use of the city's payment processing services under an existing agreement with Global Payments Integrated. As the city's merchant provider, Global Payments provides financial services for processing credit card, debit, and other forms of electronic payments. Now, by way of background, in November 2013, the city entered into a services agreement with Global Payments as our merchant services provider as part of an integrated solution with the then new ERP system, which is now being replaced. And that was under a 3-year term for cashiering. Now, at that time, there was very low credit card usage, and it wasn't anticipated that we would exceed the 100,000 under that initial 3-year term. But because merchant services are a variable cost based on the number of transactions, where the charges are a percentage of funds collected, utility billing was excluded from these transactions to avoid excessive fees. However, during the state of emergency, this restriction was temporarily lifted for utility bills up to 30,000. And this was permitted from May 2020 through April 2022. And this was done in order to assist struggling businesses and to keep their accounts current. So during this time, with variable costs based on the dollar value per transaction, the city's fees increased approximately 78,000 in 2020 and 21, approximately 132,000 the following year, and an estimated 70,000 this fiscal year that ending June 30. And the restriction was reinstated last April, which had the immediate effect of slowing these transactions costs down. So looking back over the last 10 years, this brings the total transaction costs to $472,726 for all charges processed over the last decade, with a significant portion of this due, in fact, to the state of emergency in just those 3 years. So the additional payment processing costs were absorbed by the city in order to facilitate utility payments by businesses and were considered necessary to keep cash flows from being significantly and negatively impacted. So this was an array among an array of things that we were doing to assist our local businesses. Payment plans and other things were used as well. So although Global Payments was on a month-to-month agreement, based on the city's municipal code, an agreement should have been brought back to the council every 3 years. So this oversight was due in part with how the fees are collected. So they don't function as a normal expense the way a vendor normally charges the city. They are they collect on the city's behalf, and then it's reduced by these discount charges. And staff only recently realized that this threshold had been exceeded, and the finance department identified this oversight during the deployment of our new ERP system, which the first stage just went live, and there's a requirement for a new merchant account, and that's where all this came to light. So in conclusion, staff is now requesting the City Council approve for the amount anticipated to be spent over the next few months with our existing accounts, which is approximately 30,000 through the end of this fiscal year, at which time the termination of these accounts will be when we transition to the new cashiering system. And staff is also requesting the approval of the new merchant applications to receive credit cards with a fiscal impact estimated between 75,000 and 105,000. But again, that's a variable cost, so it all just depends on the volume of transactions processed. And finally, prior to June 2024, finance staff will conduct a thorough review to identify a vendor best suited to provide payment processing services for the city, and that will be reported to the council every 3 years going forward. That concludes our report, and we're available for any questions.
Does council have any questions of staff?
I actually do. I don't know if I got lost somewhere down the line. So my understanding is we're eating the cost of fees and we're paying for it to allow our clients to use a credit card service to pay their electric bill.
Yeah, we are not passing that through.
Okay, going forward, are we able to pass that cost through? Maybe not a big percentage, but some percentage, because I've paid bills online that I've had to use a credit card, and there's like a 2% charge over $1,000 or something like that. Is there something that we're not eating the cost and saving us?
We know it's possible, but the particulars, I'll leave to Zaina.
It's something we're looking into. I think it's something that a lot of agencies have built into their other structure. Pay like a citation online. There's usually some sort of flat fee that you can pass through. So we are looking into that.
And there are a variety of options. We see that, like, it's not a government, but Edison, they have a flat fee. So clearly, based on the Public Utilities Commission, that they have to cap that. But it's prohibitive. There's always going to be a limit. We cited this 30,000 for a large account with $1 million a month. That would be $20,000. It's impossible. It's never
No,
going
I
to happen.
understand that, but it's to save on the cost going forward, because it's a benefit to use a credit card to make
Yes.
your payments online for anything you do nowadays. But everything, even merchant services, charges you a 2 or 3% fee
Yeah.
over a certain dollar value. I'm just saying, for us as the convenience for the client, we are making it convenient for them to use a credit card. However, we should not be eating the cost of public funds to help a customer do that. There has to be a give and take. So if we can look into that, and I get it that in the new fiscal year, we're going to go into a new merchant account, but if we can look into that, because granted, 30,000 is one client, but you've put a bunch of little clients together, that's going to equal to a big client.
Yeah, it is an ongoing cost. We'll bring several options forward.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Are there any public comments or any raised hand buttons on Zoom?
There are none.
May I have a motion for item number 11?
I'll move Ibarra.
I'll second Larios.
Motion by Councilmember Ibarra, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Larios, to approve and authorize continued use of payment processing services as provided in existing agreement with Global Payments Integrated, and approve an additional amount of $30,000 to be paid in fees incurred on existing accounts with Global Payments through July 2023, and approve and authorize the city administrator to execute a new merchant application and related Open Edge Check Services merchant application in order to establish 3 new merchant accounts and utilize Global Payments for payment processing through June 2024. Mayor Lopez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Larios?
Yes.
Councilmember Merlo?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We will now go on to oral reports. City Administrator Fandino, do you have a report?
Yes, Honorable Mayor. Vernon Community Fund scholarship applications are now available online. Please help spread the word and encourage high school seniors in the Vernon area to apply. Information is also available at thevernoncommunityfund.org. COVID-19 testing has now moved to the back where the city trailers are and on the back part of the city. So we took it out from the top of the parking lot and we moved it out to the back. So there's ample signage and has been in place to direct visitors to the testing sites. Testing is available Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays from 8 to 12, and then no appointments are needed. We will also be upgrading the signage in the front of City Hall. We'll be taking out the trailer soon, hopefully, and putting in a billboard where it'll have information available for the public as they're driving by. Busy week this week. I have trips planned to Sacramento. I also have a city managers meeting with Angela, which we'll be attending tomorrow through Friday. Tonight, we'll be going to Sacramento for the League of Cities Managers Conference, which will also be held in Carlsbad between Wednesday and through Friday. At the next council meeting, we'll be giving you a presentation on hydrogen possibilities here in Vernon and how it can be utilized. Of we'll we'll be working with VPU to give you a brief presentation, about 15 minutes, on hydrogen possibilities. We kind of alluded to the fee study, and I just want to touch on it, that the city will be engaging in a new fee study soon, and going through all the departments and looking at an overall cost so that we can recover some of the cost. Like we do have some special circumstances in health where we're not recovering some of the fees because they don't exist. So we will be evaluating all that and then bringing it forward to City Council for review. And then lastly, I'd like to talk about the proclamation at the next council meeting for former council member Davis. I believe there will be a proclamation at the city council meeting. We'll have refreshments after that, and then we'll have a luncheon for him here at City Hall to celebrate his retirement, which will be at the next council meeting. And that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Are there any questions? Are there any reports from council?
None.
I have one. This past weekend, I attended the Independent Cities Winter Seminar from February 3rd through the 5th in Santa Barbara. The seminar was a great opportunity for me to learn about new liabilities facing the cities. I also attended the harassment training provided at the conference. The fiscal impact for attending ICA's winter seminar was approximately $2,500 and is within budgeted funds available in the City Council travel budget for the current fiscal year. Are there any further reports? Seeing that there are none, we will now recess to closed session for agenda item number 14.
Recording stopped.
Conference, council, admin.
And then we're gonna come back down, right? Because I'll leave my purse. Yeah.
Literally got on. Literally got it. 4 rides. Every ride. Hey. Wait another hour. Oh, we definitely. Definitely.
Test.
How is she on the plane, right? Oh, you're barely leaving. I thought you went already. Okay.
Recording in progress.
We are back from closed session at 10:15. City Attorney Musa, do you have a report?
Council met in closed session on one item and no reportable action was taken.
Thank you. With no further business, I adjourn the council meeting at 10:15.